This episode of Settle the Score is sponsored by Sky Sports. Stream Sky Sports flexibly on Now. What you want, when you want, no fuss. Go to nowtv.com to start streaming Sky Sports today. Hello and welcome to Settle the Score. My name is Harry Durham. What an incredible weekend it was of Premier League action. We had VAR, we had the battle between Liverpool and Arsenal, and Manchester United scoring late to beat Burnley. Let's stay at Anfield. Mikel Arteta still can't do it. He's had so many attempts in all of his years at Arsenal now. He cannot pick up 3 points at Anfield. Joining me now to look back on all of the action from Merseyside yesterday is Harry Symeou from Chronicles of A Gooner and Jamie Storey from Anything Liverpool. Arsenal still never won at Anfield under Mikel Arteta. What is going on? Why is it not being able to happen in these, 5 years that he's been at the club?
Well, first of all, because it's a very, very difficult place to go. You're going to the home of the champions. And I think some of the reaction to Arsenal's performance and the result yesterday has been nothing short of a disgrace. The way people are sticking the boot in on a team that were, clearly, prioritizing not getting beat. But it was the case for both sides yesterday. And let's not pretend this was anything other than a cagey affair all round.
I completely disagree. I think the reason it was a cagey game, Liverpool, if you watch every single Liverpool game for the rest of the season, they're going to be one of the best teams to watch as a neutral. The reason it was a cagey game was because Arsenal went into the game with that type of mentality. And I 100% agree with you when you say Liverpool is a very tough place to go. Even Man City, when they were at their pomp, Guardiola struggled to go there. But the one thing about that Man City team is they always went with an attitude to try and go and win the game. Sometimes they got punished, they'd lose the game, or it might end up in a score and draw. And that's normal. But that carries out throughout the rest of how you play football. Arsenal's mentality is, it doesn't scream anything of bravery. And I think yesterday we seen he plays 4 centre-backs specifically. Then he plays a midfield of Rice, Marino and Zubimendi. When he could have went with Eze, considering he didn't have Saka and Odegaard, he decides not to do that and play basically a back 7 to try and nullify Liverpool going forward. Because we know this Liverpool team will score goals. But I'm telling you now, if he had bravery, this Liverpool team, as we've seen in the first 2 games of the season, you can get at them. You can absolutely get at them. And I think a lot of Liverpool fans, even Arsenal fans in the build-up, you've seen all the media, this is the first time I'm going to Anfield and I'm not scared. Well, play it like that then. Play it like you're not scared. And they didn't do that. And Arteta was the one that set them up that way. So I think all the criticism that they're getting in this post-match was because they set up in a way that they didn't want to lose, and they didn't even get that result. A little bit of brilliance to obviously win the game. Liverpool, I didn't think deserved to win it. I agree with you in terms of how the game played out. But I think that came from Arsenal nullifying themselves and Liverpool. And Liverpool had a little bit of brilliance to get them over the line. The difference between Arsenal and this Liverpool team right now is Liverpool know how to win, and that's why they're going to win the league this season.
But how do you measure that? Liverpool know how to win. We've heard that so much. No, Dominic Szoboszlai knows how to take a free kick. That was the difference. It's nothing to do with mentality. It's nothing to do with attitude, okay? You can criticize Arteta's tactics. He always plays with 4 centre-backs at the back, by the way. That's not something new. Mikel Merino came into that midfield because Mikel Merino was going to give us a bit of balance. He was going to give us some threat in the final third, as he proved many times last season when he was playing as a makeshift striker, and he was going to drop in when he needed to. Go and have a look at Mikel Merino's heat map and tell me if he played as a third defensive midfielder. You will find that the majority, and you can see it here, of his game was spent out on the right wing.
He's coming receipts.
So this idea that Arsenal turned up and had no intention of playing any football is complete and utter nonsense. Could they have been more aggressive? Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. If it were me, I'd have made the changes to bring Eze and Odegaard on earlier. I'd have done it 10 minutes earlier because it felt
Why doesn't he start Eze? I think that was the one thing, because I think when you look at Saka and Odegaard in terms of the attack and threat that they say, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans would go into the game and say, listen, we didn't have Saka. That's a big miss. And I 100% agree. If Liverpool didn't have Salah, it would be the same thing. But then you have a player of Eze's quality. And I was actually, I seen some of your comments about before about the difference makers that Arsenal were bringing in. You call them needle movers, where Gyökeres, Zubimendi and Eze. So you have a needle mover in the team. He brings them in. He's played the first couple of games with Palace. He's fit. He's match ready. And you're missing one of your star players and he doesn't start him. The reason he does that is because he wants to stop Liverpool. He wants to nullify Liverpool. He doesn't want to go out and attack them in the way that they in the way that he should, in the way that he would have got chances if he had played Eze. Eze comes on and he probably did more in 30 minutes than Martinelli did in the first 3 games of the season. Like, that's the difference in terms of being a little bit more brave in how you go out and attack a team. Because for me, when I look at it, I'm saying I was worried going into the game because I think Arsenal, this Liverpool team defense right now, they're not all there. I think they were definitely better yesterday, but that's because they didn't really have to do too much. And I think if he had added that bravery to go out and try and attack Liverpool, then he would have got a few rewards for it. He might not have won the game. Liverpool might have been able to create a few more chances themselves, but he didn't want to do that. And I think that's why we've seen the game that we saw.
Yeah, listen, I agree with some of your points, and I certainly think that Arsenal could have been more aggressive at certain points. And the Eze debate is an interesting one, but I think every Arsenal fan on the planet knew that Gabriel Martinelli was going to come in on that left-hand side because of what he gives you in terms of pace, stretching the opposition, the ability to get back and defend and support, which is obviously something that Arteta likes. Nobody's denying that Arteta is a pragmatist in terms of his coaching. Nobody's denying that. But had Dominic Szoboszlai not scored that unbelievable free kick, which, by the way, if he takes it 100 times, he doesn't score 98
2%
times.
chance.
Okay,
right? 2% chance.
Exactly. He's got a 2% chance of scoring that free kick. But it's just the irritation that we have as Arsenal fans is the flip-flop nature of the narrative. Okay, because if Arsenal get the draw without Odegaard being fit enough to start, without Bukayo Saka, without Ben White, without Kai Havertz, without Christian Norgard, without all the players that were missing from our squad yesterday, everybody goes, this is why Arsenal are in and amongst it now, because they're streetwise and they go to places like Anfield and they don't get beat. But one free kick has completely flipped the narrative.
Hey,
but it doesn't
sorry,
matter.
lads. So I just want to come in there and speak about Arsenal's injuries because obviously I saw the long list this morning. Is there something in it with obviously what's going on with Arsenal's treatment team at the same time as well? Because it's just constant. All of these players getting injured. Are they not recovering properly? Are they not doing the due diligence? What is going on so that these top players are constantly on the injury list?
Who knows? Because I mentioned all those names. I didn't even mention the fact that William Saliba went off 4 minutes into the game.
Oh,
so,
and to add to that as well, he got injured in the warm-up and he said that he wanted to try it. I mean, I understand the mentality. You want to play in these big games and whatnot, but still at the same time, why are you going to push yourself even further and probably harm yourself even more?
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. You know, we've got a lot of injury problems at the moment. I guess my point is, listen, the injuries, we'll never know what the problem is. We'll never know if it's the way Arsenal manager and them, the way they're recovering, because we're not privy to that level of kind of information and we don't see things behind the scenes. But for me, I just find it really irritating that the narrative can completely flip 360 degrees based on one moment in a game. Arne Slot summed it up. Arne Slot said, if we play that game 10 times, we draw 8 times, Liverpool win 1, Arsenal win 1. That was the perfect analysis for me. And I can't get on board with people saying that, you know, Arsenal are this and Arsenal are that and Arsenal won't achieve anything because Mikel Arteta is this and he's that and their mentality's all wrong. It's just too reactionary, 3 games into a season, in a game that really could have gone either way and probably was more likely than anything else to just fizzle out into a stalemate.
No, I agree. But I think like what you're saying, even about like, say, injuries, you spent 300 odd million this summer. And to say, in terms of obviously the squad that you brought in depth, which is obviously important for a team like yours. And I understand when you lose players to injuries, it's obviously frustrating, especially your better players. But I just feel, and you know what, it's actually, I don't get on board. I'm a really big fan of Arteta because I think what he's done is something that if you look at like Man United, like they would kill for a manager like Arteta now to be able to get them back to where they want to be. And I think you can praise Arteta for everything that he's done for Arsenal and also criticize him at the same time for where you are right now, because it's like, I don't think that you've like gotten to the top and you just aren't able to get over the line, but I just think there's in some games when you really do kind of need a little bit more bravery. And I think that decision with Eze really stuck with me. I was like, just go out and attack Liverpool. Like Anfield, as you said, like we never lose at Anfield, but you never win either. Do you know what I mean? Like there's about going to a game and trying to go out and seizing an opportunity. And I think there was an opportunity there for Arsenal to go out and try and win the game yesterday, and be a little bit more brave. So Liverpool obviously had to adapt to what Arsenal were obviously putting out in the sense that you can't go and try and break down one of the best teams, if not the best team in Europe defensively. It's just too difficult. You play too well defensively. So Liverpool obviously had to bide their time. And I think if you had been a little bit more expansive, Liverpool could have hurt you, but you also could have got rewards. And I just think when we think about Arteta and what he's done for Arsenal, I just think about the little margins that like big managers make. Even with Pep, you've seen it sometimes in Champions League finals. He makes decisions that sometimes don't come off, but he has that bravery and confidence in himself to go and do it. And I don't think Arteta right now, as you said, he's a pragmatist. He doesn't want to lose games more than he wants to win them. And I think that's going to be probably the reason he gets undone and maybe not get Arsenal over the line, whether this season or if he does stay on next season if he doesn't win something.
I'm going to come in there quickly. Jamie, do you think Mikel Arteta will ever win a Premier League title?
No, I don't. I'm so impressed with what he's done with his Arsenal team, but I just think, especially now, there's more pressure on Arsenal than any other team in the Premier League this season because Liverpool have won it. Man City obviously have the Pep Guardiola effect. He has money in the bank, even if he has the terrible season this year and they finished third. Liverpool have obviously won it last year with Slot. I know they've spent a lot of money, but like what we're seeing yesterday, Arsenal fans are going to unravel a little bit themselves every time a bump in the road comes along. I think there's going to be more and more pressure mounted on him. And I just think with that, where he sees as an opportunity, he doesn't take it, the bravery to go and play Eze from the start when you're missing some of your star men, I think that's something that you need as a manager. And I don't think Arteta has that right now. And until, listen, I think, Harry, you've said this before as well. We can all talk about player or say pulling off remarks about, say, Arteta's never going to get Arsenal back to the top four. And then he gets in top four and you say he's never going to win the league. And I think that's fair enough. I think you can say that and you should be able to own up to your own mistakes. But I think right now, from what I'm seeing, and I'll admit if I'm wrong in the future, but I just don't see him being able to get Arsenal over the line. And I think that decision with Eze kind of sticks as a sore thumb for me in terms of a reason for that.
I don't mind people doubting whether or not Mikel Arteta can get Arsenal over the line, because until he does it, that question is always going to be there. I've got no problem with people questioning that whatsoever. I've got no problem with people saying that Arsenal could have and should have maybe been more aggressive yesterday than they were at the end of the day. I can't take the way that the narrative flips so drastically from one week to the other. And I'm not saying that you're doing that, but just generally speaking, it's incredibly irritating because you turn on the game post-match yesterday and it's Arsenal's mentality, etc., etc. And people will talk about the money that's been spent. Liverpool, by the time the window closes, will have spent easily £100 million more than Arsenal from a position where they just won the league. So, the money thing, money doesn't guarantee you success, clearly, because we've seen many teams over the years spend tons of money and not get anywhere near it. So I think there's so many factors. I think football's got so many variables to it. I can't take the whole, Arteta must be the problem. Ultimately, Arsenal are where they are today. And the only reason anybody expected them to get anything from Anfield yesterday is because of the work that he's done. So I think we got to cut him some slack. The season has not been defined based on yesterday's game, not at this stage. We're 3 games into the season. And everybody knows when I say that I didn't say that we don't ever lose at Anfield. Of course we do. But you look at our record against the big 6 teams over the last 3 seasons, and that has not been our problem, I can tell you. Our problem has been breaking down some of the lesser sides. So we're going to see over the course of the campaign whether or not we've been able to fix that.
Lads, you're going to have to come in there. We've got, obviously, a couple more minutes to go, and with it being transfer deadline day as well. £125 million. The deal has been agreed between Liverpool and Newcastle for Alexander Isak, which will be a British transfer record. I mean, we've waited all summer for this, and it looks like it's finally going to happen. Mark Guehi at the same time as well. It's going to be very exciting to see who he's going to be playing for from tomorrow. I mean, his post-match interview yesterday, even though he did score that worldie at Villa Park, it did seem like it was his parting message to the Crystal Palace fans. But, I mean, it's hard to look past Liverpool, isn't it? Especially if these 2 deals do come out and, get confirmed, because I thought Konate had a good game yesterday. I mean, we forget about the other 2 where he looked like he was just sort of readjusting to the new season. But Mark Guehi and Alexander Isak, if that does come through, and Harry, you mentioned about the money spent there, I mean, me as the neutral, and we'll just get quick fire questions because we've got to finish up. I mean, you're going into the international break now. It will be game week 4 when we come back. And, you know, I hate to be that guy, but I'd actually hand Liverpool the title right now, to be honest with you. Because there is absolutely nothing that is going to stop them with what they've got now, unless, I mean, 5 players do their ACL.
Yeah. I think that the thing is with this Liverpool team, and I said it the first 2 game weeks of the season, they're going to create so many chances and score so many goals. They're going to do the hardest thing in football, and that is something that is coming easy to this Liverpool team. Even yesterday, like, they obviously weren't at their best and just a little bit of brilliance, but I think they've scored in all but one game. So they scored 1 goal in all but 1 game since Arne Slot has taken charge, and that was against Forest when they lost. So to beat this Liverpool team, you need to score 2 or 3 goals minimum, and I think that is why Arsenal are going to feel it so much harder to try and overtake them, because Arsenal right now, unbelievable defensively, and they're not going to concede many goals. They'll have the best defense in the league come the end of the season. But what they are right now and what they're trying to figure out, and I think Carragher obviously touched on a little bit after in the post-match, the biggest issue wasn't scoring goals, it was creating chances. And I think Eze might come in, he might help that. I think you need to see a better Odegaard. But Liverpool going out and obviously strengthening centre-back area, if they obviously stop conceding as many goals as they have been in the first 2-3 games, then they're going to score 2-3 goals a game, and it's just going to be impossible for other teams to try and beat them. They're not going to drop many points. Even if they draw games, they're still kind of picking up a point there on their way. They get the 3 points. They're never going to have 0 points. And I think that's the big issue. They had 1 loss up until the run in, when they obviously went on the rip for a month after they won the league. And I think that's the problem that you're going to have. Even 3 points now it's a small gap, but that could get even bigger depending on obviously how the results go. And I think Gahey and Isak just kind of, for me, they seal the league for Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool are the favourites to win the Premier League. They have been for a while now. It's no surprise. And that's why, another reason why I get frustrated when people talk as if Arsenal had this God-given right to turn up at Anfield yesterday and completely blow them away. This is a side that were champions last year very, very comfortably and have gone out this summer. And by the end of this window, they would have spent close to £420 million. This is Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp used to moan about the spending of other clubs and say that Liverpool would never spend £100 million on one individual player. Now, I ain't got a problem with it because it's the modern game, right? It's absolutely fine. But let's not pretend that Arsenal are the favourites here or that Arsenal have a divine right to overtake Liverpool. Liverpool are rightly in the driving seat, and they've cemented that position even further by going crazy in the transfer window. So, yep, we've lost at Anfield. Who says they're not going to lose at the Emirates come later on in the season? And then all of a sudden, we're level, aren't we? So it doesn't really matter.
Right. Ding, 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 ding. It's over. All right. It's done. All right. You two can kiss and make up now. That was absolutely sensational. I mean, you two probably already had a shower this morning, but, you know, after that, pure flames. And I appreciate that massively. I am so happy to be in this position that I get to listen to, you know, 2 passionate football fans go at it like that. And I mean, Monday mornings are tough for a lot of people, right? But I feel like I could run a marathon right now after that one, boys. Passionate, brilliant. Thank you so much for settling the score. That was Harry Symeou and Jamie Storey there. Absolutely sensational stuff. This episode of Settle the Score is sponsored by Sky Sports. Stream Sky Sports flexibly on Now. What you want, when you want, no fuss. Go to nowtv.com to start streaming Sky Sports today.